This is the Pittsburg State Coaches Show. Here are your hosts, PSU head football coach Brian Wright with Shay Schrader and KODE sports director Max Preston.
Hello and welcome to the Pittsburg State Football Coaches Show. He's Max Preston, I'm Shay Schrader, and of course joining us is Pitt State head coach Brian Wright. Coach, how are you doing this afternoon?
Doing great. How are you guys?
We're pretty good. We're excited to be here. There's a whole lot to talk about from this week.
It's always exciting talking about Pittsburg State football.
Absolutely. Yeah. So getting back into it after that 2020 season and finally getting to open, your first full MIAA season, what did that feel like?
Well, it felt good to finally let all the hard work pay off and let our guys get out there and play a game.
And they sure played a game.
And so you're opening against 13th ranked Central Missouri. Just what's the nerves like as you have to open with that one and on the road? What do you tell your guys going into that kind of game?
Well, that opener is always a little bit nerve-wracking. You're not sure. You've been practicing against each other all spring and all summer, and not quite sure where you're at until you have an opponent. And then to have one like we did with Central Missouri at their place, was a big challenge for us, but, our guys stepped up.
Absolutely. Yeah. And coming into that one, you're ranked 7th in the conference to come in. So, you having that news as you go into that game, what does that do for your team, especially knowing the level that you can play at?
Well, that certainly motivates you. We know that preseason rankings don't mean a whole lot, but I'd be lying if I said we didn't use it to motivate us this offseason.
This is definitely a team that looked motivated. Let's go ahead and roll on into the highlights. We have plenty of good ones. So you guys won the coin toss, you deferred, and right off the bat here, we had some great defense. Luke Hardman, Morgan Salamena, and Trace Jeffries all collapsing on Kobe Wilkerson.
Yeah, those guys played great all night and did a great job of really containing the quarterback, and our coverage, I thought, was really good down the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And the offensive line, they were getting scrappy as well. There's some beautiful blocking up front here. He's not going down easily.
No, our guys ran really hard in that game. I was proud of how they ran the football, and we got to clean a couple things up from a schematic standpoint, but those guys ran really hard.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your quarterback, Max Sexton. What a great game. 4 touchdown passes, I think about 220-something yards, and a touchdown rush as well. How great is it to see your signal caller perform like that?
Yeah, he did a good job for us, and the guys protected him up front and gave him some time, and our guys found some open windows down the field.
Also, defense playing a big story in the first half. You hold them to 3 points. They only get this field goal right here, and you guys get 21 points. But just the defense, how impressed were you with the defense?
Well, yeah, they just kept us in it all night and did a fantastic job of providing some field position for us and holding them out of the end zone.
All right, here we're going to have Max Sexton. He's going to connect with Mario Kirby Jr. in the end zone. And at the end of the second half, you guys were up 21-3. That is absolutely no small feat. And you guys, of course, came out and scored first. You had 2 interceptions in that first half. As the offensive coordinator, what were you thinking of your offense?
Well, I was, pleased with where we were at and the help the defense had provided. Just, we went into halftime knowing we had to fix a couple things up front with the run game and still had a lot of the passing game left in our game plan that we hadn't used yet.
Like we said, at the end of the first half, the score was 21-3. So just looking at how things went, Pitt State fans, they traveled pretty well. I will say that. Going into the game, how excited were your guys to be back out?
Well, extremely excited. Like I said, worked so hard and had been such a long time to play a football game that that mattered in the standings and had a national ranking impact. So our guys were extremely excited to get out there and play, and we'd been practicing against each other for a long time, so it was time to play somebody else.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, a great first half for you guys, and that'll do it for our first half coverage. We got to get to the second half in the next block. We'll take a look at those highlights and see the second half. Stay on KODE for the Coaches Show. Stick with us.
Open the second half. He'll motion up to the left. Snap. Give. Caleb. Head down. Squirts through a crease. A stiff arm near side at the 30. This is going to be a foot race at the 40. Lewis is at midfield. The central 40. 35-30. Finally run out of bounds. Caleb Lewis out of Burleson, Texas. Flips the field all the way to the central 29.
He did an outstride.
Well, that was KSHQ's Eddie Lomshak, what we thought to be the call of the game.
That was a good call.
Absolutely. He sounded so excited. Amazing play there by Caleb Lewis. And
Texas guy, Burleson, yeah. So, I mean, fellow Texas guy, Abilene strong right here, Amarillo too. But, Texas.
Well, we just wrapped up discussing the Gorillas' explosive first half performance, but the task at hand heading into halftime was keeping that energy alive.
Yeah, no doubt. You go into halftime with the lead like we did, but our guys have no letdown in them, and we stressed the things that we were doing well on both sides of the ball and to continue those and make a couple adjustments really in all three phases that we felt like we needed to do to finish the game strong.
Absolutely. What was the halftime speech? What was it as you came in after a solid performance in the first half? What do you tell your guys after?
Yeah, really just what I said, that here's the things we did well and here are the things that we've got to do a little bit better at. And, with the walk that you have there at Central Missouri, you don't have a whole lot of time at halftime. Actually, it was one of the quicker ones I've been a part of. But because, after you have special team adjustments and adjustments on offense and defense, those go pretty quickly, and then you gather them up real quick and say a few words to them, and then you're back out there. And I think, too, we wanted to get out there early because I didn't want to sit around in the locker room very long. We had a lot of momentum, and once we made those adjustments, we were ready to get back out there.
Yeah, got to keep the blood flowing. Got to keep the energy and keep playing good. That's halftime walk also helps that out too.
Sure.
As a coach, is it difficult to toe the line between being pleased with their performance, being happy to be up so much, but not wanting to let them get too excited about it either?
Yeah, I think we just always try to be honest with them. We tell them the things that we feel like we've done well, and here are the things that we have to do a lot better at. And I think if we stick with that, that'll help us.
Awesome. Well, you guys delivered in the second half as well. Spoiler alert. Let's go ahead and dive into those highlights here. Central's Drew Slager, he opens up the second half with a touchdown for the Mules. Pitt still goes up 20-19, but that was actually the first time in the game they were able to make it into the end zone.
Yeah, what a great play by him on fourth down. They drove it down there, and our defense made him work for it, but he made a great play there.
They had a little bit of a comeback here in the second half, but here we have Jalen Martin with the monster catch under pressure to put Pitt back in the red zone. So offense not slowing down.
No, not at all. We had to come out attacking on offense and not slow down at all. And we had to get Jalen involved. He wasn't as involved in the offense as I wanted him to be in the first half, so we had to throw some shots to him.
And he took one, and another big storyline of this game, Tucker Horak. Almost every massive drive he was a big part of.
He certainly was. He stepped up big for us. He's a leader on our football team and a guy that's worked extremely hard, and really proud of his performance.
So talking about that second half, kind of going back to them trying to bring the margin of the score in, for your guys to respond and just keep playing hard and not get their backs against the wall, how did you like how they responded them, kind of getting on the board a little more?
Yeah, happy with that. We're going to have to survive those momentum swings throughout the course of a football game, and I've told our guys all along that it doesn't matter what the scoreboard says, our job doesn't change. When we go out there on offense, it's to move the football and end the drive in the end zone.
Well, and you guys ended up winning 35-16, starting out the season 1-0. And I heard a little bit of what you said to the huddle towards the end of the game, or after the game, telling them kind of like what you said at halftime, letting them know what they did well and all those sorts of things. When you win a game in that way, what's the appropriate level of celebration? How happy do you allow them to be with themselves?
Well, I think that, like I said, we all worked so hard and we deserve to enjoy that one. And sometimes that's hard to do as a coach because you have to move on to the next one so quickly. But I wanted them to enjoy that moment, enjoy that time on the field. We spent a few extra minutes with our families on the field after that one. And I felt like they deserved that moment and that time, and enjoy the locker room and enjoy the bus ride home. But the next day, it's getting ready for week 2.
Well, I think that wraps it up for the second half. This was obviously a great performance, but coming up, we're going to hear from some players after the game, plus a look at our pick for play of the game after the break.
After we saw the preseason rankings with us being ranked 7th, that kind of really put into perspective what the rest of the conference thinks about us and what the rest of the coaches in the conference think about us. And, we take some of those things to heart. And so we don't, although we may not agree with some of those things, we don't believe that us coming out and winning was an accident at all.
I think it came from within, and I'm going to say to all the media out there, don't put us at like the highest ranking possible. We still got a long ways to go, and we're still working every week.
Just so many different emotions, excitement, just everything was running through. Like, we worked so hard for this, waited 2 years. For us to get picked 7th, coach's poll, and then come out here and do what we did tonight, it's just amazing. Great feeling.
Those were, of course, some post-game reactions from several players there. And, of course, Max Sexton had about as good of an opening game as you can ask for. I would say Tucker Horak as well.
Yeah, those guys played extremely well for us. And, you know, like any game, you're going to find the things that we did well and then go back and watch the video. And there's going to be 4 or 5 or 6 plays there that we got to get better at. We know it's going to be a long season. Each week this conference can be brutal, and winning one football game is good, but we got a lot of work to do to get better.
Definitely, and I love the reaction by those guys after the game. You know, they're not shocked, they're not celebrating a ton. We're supposed to be here. We were picked 7th, but we're playing strong, and I think we're going to keep going. Just how awesome of a reaction is that for your guys?
Yeah, really good. We wanted them to treat every week, you know, with the goal in mind to be 1-0 that week, and certainly the rankings motivated us, but we know the only rankings that matter will be at the end of the season. And in order for us to take care of the end of the season, we've got to focus on 1 week at a time.
Definitely. And, you know, those preseason rankings never mean anything. You guys showed that night. After the game, I mean, you know, your guys were not surprised. They were ready. You had several players talking about, you know, being ready to play, and they thought they were going to be good in this game. Did you have anybody outside of your team or just anybody text you and, you know, act shocked or just, like, celebrate the win too much?
No, I don't think so. You know, a lot of congratulations text after the game, and that was great. We've had, you know, there's so many people on the team that help put the thing together. You know, it's coaches and the players and the support staff and so many of the people that help us along the way. And I felt like we all came together and moving in one direction, and was happy for all of us.
Definitely.
And I know we just touched on, you know, preseason polls, they don't often mean anything. They're not usually reflected in how things are at the end of the season, but especially in a year where you haven't seen most of these teams in 2 seasons. What's it like going in almost blind? Is that what it feels like?
Yeah, it does. It's scary. It's scary to get ready for a opening game and have to go back 2 years to watch the video, you know. So that was very, very tricky and difficult, you know. Fortunately, you know, they don't change a whole bunch on offense, and their defensive coordinator was the same. So schematically, we felt like they were going to be about the same, but a lot can happen in that year. You know, you can change a playbook, you can do a lot of different things. So I don't know that we were 100% sure going into that, but felt like we had a good idea. And I told our guys 2 weeks ago that, you know, that's why you have rules at your position. You know, if somebody shows up in your gap and you're responsible for that gap, then that's your guy, and trust your rules, and our guys did that.
Yeah, you could definitely tell coming out with the win. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we picked to be our play of the game. And I thought that this was perfect. I think this set the tone for the entire night. That's Sexton to Christian Carter for the opening touchdown. And I mean, that's not even, you know, like 1st and goal at the goal line sneaking in. I mean, that's a good touchdown.
Getting that first touchdown, that first score of the year just out of the way and so quickly too. Just a sigh of relief, honestly.
Yeah, you wanna certainly get in the end zone as quick as you can, and it's funny because we practiced that play 100 times, and we practiced it going into this game against all the different coverages except for the one they showed us. So we saw something a little bit different there, and good job by Maxie and CC.
Well, he was certainly wide open, so you blew the coverage on that one, and that was a great play right there.
Yeah. What'd you tell him to do to adjust on the fly for that, since it's a coverage you hadn't seen?
Well, like I said, I mean, that's the spot CC is supposed to be in anyway, and really the first read in the progression for Mac. So all Mac had to do was really slide and see it. But what we had shown him all week in scout team was certainly him getting covered, and we were expecting more man coverage when we called that play.
Well, it worked out really well, and I was excited on the sidelines. I was ready to have something to put on tape, but let's go ahead and take a look at some stat leaders from the week. There were quite a few. First, let's talk about Mac. I know we've touched on him a little bit, but 232 passing yards, 4 touchdown passes, and 1 rushing touchdown the last of the game.
Yeah, probably most proud of the rushing touchdown. We've been getting after him quite a bit to tuck that ball and go when there's nothing there. He tends to want to hold on to it and find an open guy at some point, and good job by him just seeing the goal line and taking off for it, so I was excited about that.
Yes, and so 2 of those touchdown passes going to Elijah Harris, 45 receiving yards, 46 actually, and 2 touchdown catches. How did you like his performance?
So excited for Elijah. You know, couldn't play last fall with us, had surgery, and missed the 4 games that we had last fall. And just such a great kid on our football team and a leader, and I was so excited to see him play out there and to have the night that he had.
Yeah. Also, Christian Carter, he had an amazing night. You know, we talked about him play the game, 60 yards receiving, 1 touchdown catch. And then we also have to mention, you guys had 2 interceptions there in the first half, one by Dallas Flowers and one by Alex Gaskell.
Yeah, all 3 of those guys, CC, Dallas, and Alex, I thought really stepped up big, and those are big plays that those guys made. And our defense does a great job of stressing turnovers and getting the ball back.
Do you feel like they forced those interceptions?
Well, certainly if you can put some heat on the quarterback and our guys are in the right spots, you know, then that provides that opportunity.
Absolutely. Real quick before we go, who was a guy that really stood out to you that maybe you didn't expect to put up too much numbers or too much presence in the game, but who was a guy that really stood out in that one?
I don't know that any one guy necessarily stood out. I was expecting them all to play well, whoever was in the game. I think I was happy to see Caleb Lewis in there too. Yep. For us, he played a little bit last fall and really stepped up. We had Tyler down for a little bit, and Caleb really stepped in and filled a great role.
Definitely good to see some of those guys step up in a game like that. Obviously, lots of positive things happening with this team week 1 there, but now it's time to look forward to week 2, the home opener. All you need to know about the contest versus Nebraska Kearney after the break.
Welcome back to the Pittsburg State Football Coaches Show. We've talked a lot about the Gorillas' opening game against Central Missouri, where they had a completely dominant win. But now it's time to look forward to next week's home opener against the University of Nebraska Kearney. And Kearney, they had quite the week themselves. They had a long rain delay while you guys were well into your game, but they ended up blanking Missouri Southern 38-0. So that's kind of where they're at right now.
Yeah, good performance by them, and in a tough circumstance. Boy, that's such a challenge to have to take your football team into the locker room for such a long time and stay ready, and I've been a part of those, and those can be tricky.
Yeah. Now, you guys faced them last year. They were one of the teams that you played in the abbreviated season, and I know that you guys came away from that with a loss. But towards the end of that game, you guys had, from what I remember, an insane comeback effort. Ended up falling short, but you guys were really close to being able to take that one. So are you using that as a frame of reference kind of moving forward?
Yeah, certainly any of the previous games that we play against them or the games that they've played now here this season against Missouri Southern, we're going to use those as reference. And we reviewed a lot of that with our team today, just a lot of the mistakes that we made and the things that we feel like we got to do to be better this time around.
Are you excited to be able to coach against a team that you've played?
Well, it is good to know what they do. The hard part is they do things so well, and I just think Coach Lynn's done a fantastic job with that football team, and they're a dangerous football team. Their quarterback's an outstanding player, so we've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Another thing that sticks out about Kearney, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're usually the longest road trip in this conference, but you don't got to go all the way to Nebraska. You just get to stay here and play these guys. You won on the road last week, but how great is it to not have to make that long trip?
Well, that is a long one, and we'll have to deal with that next year, I suppose. But it's good to be back and have an opportunity to play at home. We only had the opportunity to play at home one game last year, and so yeah, I think it's just so good for our fans and our players and their families to be able to gather there at Kearney Smith, and I know we're all excited for it.
Yeah, definitely. Just how special is it going to be to get back into your home stadium, your home field, and play in front of a crowd, COVID protocols?
Yeah, I think really special. So many of us came to Pitt State because of the history and the tradition and the support that we get there, and so we're excited to be able to play Saturday night, and we have a lot of work to do before we get there, and I told our guys to plan early in the week for tickets and all those things that come with having a home game, and especially a big home game at night like that, and get your families organized and all that so we can focus on winning a football game.
Definitely, and also a longer week to prepare. Have you guys dug deep already into Kearney?
Yeah, we have. Yep. Yeah, we would always take advantage of some of that time that you have, those couple extra days, you know. You want to give the guys a break and some rest and give them an opportunity to recover as well, but we've already started deep into Kearney.
Now, I know you're not going to be super worried about tailgating or anything like that, but if you were going to attend a tailgate, what would be your snack of choice? This is an important question.
My snack, man, you put me on the spot here. Usually at a tailgate, I just find whatever's right there and grab it, but
good choice.
I'd probably be looking for a barbecue sandwich or something like that. Would probably be the thing of my choice.
Now, personally, I'm a jalapeno popper guy. I like maybe a hot dog, bag of chips, but jalapeno poppers are one of my favorites for sure.
I don't think I've ever seen jalapeno poppers at a tailgate.
Have you not?
I don't think I have. You?
I don't go to many tailgates, so I haven't seen much of anything.
That used to be our number one thing in college for our fraternity. We'd make jalapeno poppers. That was our thing. We'd just have them sitting out before every game.
Texas people, am I right?
Oh, man.
Let's go ahead and take a look and see how the rest of the MIAA did in week 1. Obviously, you guys started off 1-0. Nebraska Kearney, they also won their game. Central Oklahoma got the win. Emporia got a win. Northwest Missouri, no surprise there, they got a win. Their game this week is actually canceled, COVID protocol, so they won't be playing, no contest for them. Washburn got their win, and then Central Missouri, Missouri Southern falling in their first games, as well as Fort Hays, Lincoln, Missouri Western, and Northeastern. So just kind of looking at that, I know that it's hard to tell a lot from week 1, but as far as the matchups that you were expecting, do you think that things are going kind of according to what you would think?
Boy, it's hard to know what's going to happen in any of these other games but your own. You know, you're so focused on planning and preparing for your own game, but I know that anything can happen in this conference week to week, and you better be ready to play your A game no matter who you're playing.
Of course, you're always going to be worried about, you know, the opponent that you have in front of you, maybe the one after that. How much time are you able to spend paying attention to some of these games, people that you're going to play down the line?
Yeah, really, you don't check those scores until you're on the bus after your game, and those are usually the first ones that you check. You know, you jump on the bus after your game and you find ESPN and scroll through those scores of the other teams in the conference quickly to see how they did, and you know, and I don't know, you know, I don't know if those were surprises or not. You know, like I said, I know those were tough games, and Hayes and Northwest had a really tight football game, and it can be tough in this league, especially if you go down early in the season with a loss or two, and really got to work hard to climb back.
Yeah, you can still be a great team in this conference and lose 1 game, 2 games. We often talk about, and I know it's kind of the same with basketball too, but that this is the most competitive conference in the country. So, you know, how are you feeling week 1, final impressions?
Well, you know, I feel good, happy with where we were at the other night. Still a long way to go. I feel like there's so many things, even going back and watching that video again for a second and third time, that so many things that we can do better than what we did the other night, and our guys are capable of that, and I'm really excited to see how much better we can get from week 1 to week 2.
Awesome. Well, Coach, hey, thank you so much for joining us for this first week, and congratulations on the win as well.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Definitely.
Same time next week?
Same time.
All right, sounds good. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Signing off from Max Preston, I'm Shay Schrader, and we'll see you guys next week.
This has been the Pittsburg State Coaches Show.